Welcome back to Behavior Gaps, navigating life with behavioral economics. You're watching a basketball game and one team is up by 10 points at halftime. After the game ends and the team that was winning wins the game, you might look back and say, "They had a 10-point lead at halftime, so I knew they were going to win." But in reality, you may not have actually been that confident in your prediction at the time. There may have been many factors that could have affected the outcome of the game. In hindsight, it is easy to identify the outcome of the past event, or what could have been done differently. The basketball game reveals how hindsight bias, as a cognitive bias, affects the way we think about past events. Hi, I'm Amanda, your guide to the world of behavioral economics. Let's continue exploring hindsight bias to narrow our behavior gaps. Hindsight bias is a fascinating cognitive bias that affects the way we think about past events. It can lead people to make overconfident or overly simplistic judgments based on their hindsight view of events. Hindsight bias is one of the most common errors that humans suffer from. We can accurately describe it as "I told you so" phenomenon. In retrospect, everything seems clear and inevitable. In daily life, hindsight bias can have a powerful impact on our decision-making. The bias leads us to overestimate our own abilities and underestimate the complexity and uncertainty of many situations. The bias can lead to poor decision-making and negative outcomes. Hindsight bias is a cognitive bias that refers to the tendency of people to overestimate ability to have predicted an outcome after the outcome is already known. This bias can lead people to believe that they knew it all along, even if they did not actually have any evidence or certainty at the time. After an event has occurred, people may believe that they were confident in their prediction, even if they weren't actually that sure at the time. This can happen in many situations, from predicting the outcome of a sporting event to guessing the ups and downs of the stock's market prices. Hindsight bias can occur for a number of reasons. One is that when we know the outcome of an event, our brains automatically process that information and incorporate it into our memories of the past. This can make it seem like we had more information or evidence at the time than we actually did. Another reason is that hindsight bias can be a way for our brains to protect our egos and self-esteem. By believing that we knew something all along, we can feel more confident in our abilities and intelligence, even if that confidence is not entirely warranted. Hindsight can lead us to be overconfident in our own abilities and to believe that we can predict future events with a high degree of accuracy. This can lead to risky decision-making and can cause us to overlook the inherent uncertainty and complexity of many situations. Hindsight bias can also lead us to ignore or dismiss information that doesn't fit with our hindsight view of events. This can cause us to miss important details or factors that could have influenced the outcome of a decision. Hindsight bias can also cause people to misremember past events. Research has shown that people may unintentionally revise their memories of past events to make them more consistent with their current knowledge or beliefs. This can lead to a distorted view of the past and can impact how people make decisions in the future. It's important to note that hindsight bias is not necessarily a conscious process. People may not even realize that they are overestimating their ability to have predicted an outcome. This makes it important to be aware of the bias and to actively work to avoid its negative effects. Hindsight bias makes us believe that we are better predictors than we actually are. Such a belief causing us to be arrogant about our knowledge, and consequently to take too much risk. To avoid the negative effects, it's important to focus on the evidence and information available at the time of a decision, rather than relying on the benefit of hindsight. It's also important to recognize that many situations are complex and uncertain, and that outcomes are often influenced by a wide range of factors that are difficult to predict. Another way to avoid hindsight bias is to be open to feedback and to learn from past experiences. Even if the feedback and past experience didn't turn out the way we wanted them to. By taking a more nuanced and evidence-based approach to decision-making, we can avoid the pitfalls of hindsight bias and make better choices in the future. Remember, by being aware of this bias and taking a more evidence-based approach to decision-making, we can avoid the negative effects of hindsight bias. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful.